How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at The Nice House on the Lake, issue number 12. This is the finale, kind of. More on that in a second. But yeah, the last issue of this run of Nice House on the Lake, and for the most part I did like it, but it's one of those things where I don't really feel it's that bad, but then I have like a bunch of gripes that I want to talk about. Again, for the most part, this story is good. The last issue talks about how they can make peace with their situation, how they can continue to live here for a long time, yet still feel like they have agency, yet still feel like, you know, that they can make peace with a terrible situation. And this is what the book had for a lot of the past few issues been talking about and focusing on, and this is a good finale to that sort of conversation. But that being said, a much more talky, a much more cold, silent finale, you know, not a big explosive action-packed one, but a contemplative one, which overall I wouldn't mind had that not been hinted so heavily that there would be a big fiery explosive finale. Every book up until this one had a section of the fire world where the characters were in the future, Ryan was like missing an eye, and it was this big post-apocalyptic rundown landscape, and I was thinking issue 12 would be crazy and big and epic, but minor spoiler, this isn't exactly the end of the comic. You get to the end, there's a hint at future adventure, and then it says, end of cycle 1. And yeah, I kind of wish a lot of times that comics could just be simpler, but I guess this book sold well enough, and in turn you gotta stretch the story out, you gotta keep going, you can't just let it end, and I guess I see that. Yeah, it's successful, you can't just let it end, but for the story itself, it probably would have been better if they had. Yeah, I kind of wonder, you know how the book was released 6 issues and then another 6 issues after a break? But then after issue 9, I think, wasn't it between 9 and 10, there were a couple months they took off? I kind of wonder if that was a rewrite, because all those scenes of the fire world really did hint at a different ending, and now it's just not there, and I don't know, did it ever really happen? More on that when we analyze the book further, but did it not happen? Is it something from cycle 2 or 3? I don't know. Like I said, the ending where they talk about how to find peace and what all the characters think about that and the decision they come to, it's interesting, but not at all what I was expecting, not at all what was built up in the previous issues of the book, and while I do think it's good, it's just, I don't know, here we are, gonna go out on another adventure probably, and I don't know when they'll come back, like a year or something, but more of these to come, and maybe cycle 2 will be really great, and I'll say, Zach, you're an idiot, why would you not want a cycle 2, but yeah, a lot of me does miss simpler stories that, you know, have a set beginning, middle, and end, and then it's all right there, but whatever. It's good for what it is, just really not what I was expecting, and I'd be curious what fans think of that, you know, how exactly that's gonna sit, but hopefully cycle 2 is gonna be worth it, and I don't know. Anyway, without further ado, if you guys want to see a little bit more of this book, no major spoilers, but if you want to see a little of the story and the art, I'll go ahead and switch to the close-up camera, and we can take a closer look at this issue. Anyway, without further ado, to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at The Nice House on the Lake, book number 12. The final book in Cycle 1, but apparently not overall. Let's go ahead and bring this closer to the camera. Once again, another very nice cover. And you think, okay, it's Walter, the big guy. What are you gonna do? Well, you have him sitting in the middle of a room that's flooded and turned into an aquarium, and the bodies of all his friends are floating around with the fish, and he's got his glowing eyes being the only light source. The Nice House on the Lake covers are so, well, nice, and it is really cool to see this. There's the DC Black Label logo, and there is the Walter symbol. Reggie's hexagon symbol does not show back up, but there's Walter's, and it's the sliders, which I thought the sliders were just the symbol for the adjustment section, but apparently they're his overall symbol. So yeah, the Walter symbol finally does show up, and I guess that's his symbol there. Credits along the top, but of course we can open the book up to the credit page. There's a cold opening first, but we do get where I guess the sun's coming up, and this is dawn. James Tynion IV is the writer, Alvaro Martinez Bueno is the artist, who also did the very nice cover, and they're both credited as co-creators. And the house is gone. I was wondering if they were changing. I thought it was getting a little lighter, but maybe the water level was also rising? Yeah, I don't know what happened, but the house has disappeared in this picture now. The house is still there in the story, but yeah, a lot lighter, and the house is gone. I kind of want to go back and see, you know, man, to set these all out every issue and see exactly how it changed. That would be interesting, but anyway, enough of that for now. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the story. Now, I won't be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this issue's about. So anyway, we open up with Ryan there, and she's got her cool yellow suit on, which appears solid red because she's in the red room, but it does almost look like an X-Men outfit with that X on the front. But she's, of course, says she didn't know what she was doing and didn't want the doctor to die, and Walter says, hey, come with me, we'll talk. And we get this really fun panel where, because he's an alien and has complete control over the world, kind of morph warps them into this bar, and they sit down to have a drink. There's that yellow and blue combo she's got going there. And he says, hey, let's calmly sit down and talk about your options. And this is where we get a lot of the story, you know, talking about what they could do and what could happen. One, you could keep messing around and ultimately destroy the place, and here we get the house on fire. So I'm kind of wondering if they're saying the Fireworld sections are just a hypothetical ending that Walter's presenting to her here, where they struggle with the place and mess it all up and send it crashing down, and he says that then his masters would come and give them the same fate as the rest of the world, and we do get to see them on the hilltop looking down over this fantasy, which I'm still wondering if the Fire World could be a thing that happens in Cycle 2 or 3. But that being said, if this is their explanation, that the Fire World was just a hypothetical ending Walter presented to them, that's pretty disappointing. But like I said, it could still be 2 or 3. A subsection, a different idea, is that option 2, you guys fight each other, a few more of you die, but return the place to relative normalcy, and that with so many people dead, his masters would eventually figure it out, but it could take years, so you would get a little bit more life. But when the masters found out, they would turn off the environment, and it would be a desert. So, you know, sort of fire or ice, they say, are your decisions. But Walter does present a third option here, Walter says, what you could do is you could kill me, and I've taught Nora the controls already. You know, you can hopefully peacefully take over the cell in my absence, and you could live well past a normal human lifespan. You could be discovered, but it would probably take over 100 years, so not a permanent solution, but your best option, and you would live longer than you would have anyway. He also does indicate that they are one cell, but there is redundancies. There apparently were other Walters grabbing up other people so that they would have samples of human life after the world was destroyed. But yeah, there are apparently other cells out there. I wonder if that's what the other cycles are going to be about. Are we going to jump to a new set of characters that will eventually cross paths with our current characters? Or is the other cycles, are they going to break out and find these other cells or something? I am kind of curious, but yeah, the little beer foam drawing from Walter there, hinting at something very huge. But anyway, Walter sends Ryan out and says, your friends are coming, go discuss it with them, and Ryan will present the case to the first group that arrives, the calmer, more rational group, and they're going to cry and say, oh, I know, it's sad, and they're going to try to work through it and discuss their options, and of course, Reggie is quite mad there, but eventually, the second group will show up, and the doctor's husband is going to be quite emotional and angry, and can they manage to talk him down, or are they going to fight each other and get option 2 automatically? Well, that being said, I don't want to spoil it because it does happen later in the book, but eventually Nora will show up and it's going to help guide the book to the conclusion, her coming back. And Ryan was pitched as the main character of this book back in issue 1, but Nora really has become the main character, and she really does get something interesting to do in this finale, and a really interesting twist with her character on the end there, which again, I don't want to spoil. Now, one thing I do want to say is we do get a few more pages of these text blocks, which, if you saw my reviews for the early comic, I really am not a fan of this. You know, I feel that they're naturally slower to read, and they kind of ruin the rhythm that a comic normally has. And, you know, you read through fun comic pages, especially with as good of art as we're getting, and then you get to these relatively boring text screens. And yeah, there's some interesting insights into them, but I've never been a fan of these. And plus, these are all from before, and there is some interesting revelations for later, but it's odd that we're going back to this so late in the comic, but not a big fan of text screens. But anyway, as I said, more of a contemplative ending. How can we accept this fate and still feel like, you know, it's what we want and it's what we chose when we really didn't? How can we be okay with that? And, you know, it is talking and discussing their options, which, yeah, it's not as exciting as Fireworld. And the idea that maybe Fireworld was never real, but just a hypothetical ending, yeah, that kinda sucks. But then again, like I said, you know, it kinda sucks that this isn't the absolute ending and it's just the ending of Cycle 1, but I really hope that Cycle 2 is good enough to make me go, hey, yeah, it's not what I was expecting, but at least it led to this really good sequel, or at least, fingers crossed, I hope it does. So yeah, maybe we will get Fireworld for real in Chapter 2 or 3, but yeah, man, you read the book and you see her there with the eye patch, and you're like, how did we get here, you know, and then that's not really what the payoff is at all. I don't know. I am curious what you guys think of this ending. It's different than what I thought it would be, and overall it is good. I just wish that the book felt like it was moving to this ending more than it did, overall, a good ending, but I can't help but have gripes about it, and I am curious what other people thought of it. But like I said, Cycle 2 should be coming unless something happens, so hopefully Cycle 2 will be good enough to warrant this. I don't know, but fingers crossed, like I said. Anyway, I definitely have enjoyed this book so far. Interesting, almost Twilight Zone-like concept, and really, really good art. I mean, especially those haunting covers. Those are really great. Hats off to the artists and such. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Nice House on the Lake playlist. If you want to see my reviews for all the past issues of this series, you can find them there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.